I also
Okay. Go ahead, sister.
I also felt like y'all was with us, but I needed to understand how he wasn't with us. So it's as a whole, he's not with us, because
Yes.
I believe that from each portion of my life and different times and different dispensations in my life, that he was the one that led me.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. So what I say is, and I'm trying to bring out the fact of the holiness of Yah, right? If we're saying that he's with us, right? Like really with us, then we're going to have to be, and we're with him, you and I have to be in a certain format. We have to be made clean to be in that close to him. Okay. Right now we're in exile. Has he forgotten about us? No, he said, I'll turn, I'll show mercy to you. So let's read chapter number 30 and let's get an understanding tonight. Okay. Um, the first two verses is huge. It's one word in here that just keeps popping up, and I'm gonna read it to you. Okay. And I will break it down. It says this, it said, and it shall come to pass, and I'm reading from right to left, that ki yavu the eleheka the kol hadavarim ha'ele edabadraka. Okay, so he says, when it comes to pass, when will come upon you all the things of these blessings. Okay, so we know that the haba raka is the blessing. Okay, and then he says the kalalala, which is the curse. So that's what he says, when these things both come on you, both the blessing and the curse. The blessings are associated with chapter number 20, chapter number 28, and he tells us what those blessings are. Okay, and we know what they are. And so I'm going to kind of go through this. We already know some of them, but let's talk about, I'll read just a few of them. When he says that if you listen closely what Yahweh Elohim says, observing and obeying all his mitzvot, which I'm giving today, Yahweh your Elohim will raise you above high, above all the nations of the earth. Correct? That's number one, right? So that's a blessing. If you do that, he'll raise you. So right now, are we the highest above all the nations, or are we the lowest?
Lois.
We're the lowest. Then he says, all the following blessings will be yours in abundance. So what we're looking for, according to his blessing, not something that we believe, was what he said, in abundance. If you will do, okay, we have to physically do something what Yahweh Elohim says, okay? A blessing will be on you in the city, and a blessing will be on you in the countryside, winning the field in Hebrew. So right now, we don't have a blessing us in the city, and neither do we have a blessing in the field. A blessing of fruit of your body, meaning you're going to have as many children as you want, no problem. The fruit of your land, which we're not in, and the fruit of your livestock, we don't have that. A blessing on your grain basket and your kneading bowl from the land that I gave you. A blessing on when you go out, and when you blessing when you come in. That meaning in sowing time and harvest time. We don't have that. Yahweh will cause your enemies attack you to be defeated before you. That's the blessing as well. They will advance on you, right, in one way, and they'll flee before you in 7 ways. That's not what's going on with us right now. Yahweh will order a blessing to be with you in your barns. We don't have any barns, so we're not blessed. In everything you undertake, everything you put your hands to, you're not blessed. You will be blessed you in the land that he's giving you, and Yahweh will establish you a people separated out for himself, meaning that we wouldn't be scattered among the nations in verse number 9, right? So we haven't been established as a people separated for himself, as he sworn to you, because we're not in our land and we don't have these things that he says. He says, if you observe and observe the mitzvot, the commandments of Yahweh, your Elohim, and follow his ways. Here's a kicker. Then all the peoples on the earth will see that Yahweh's name. Okay. So we're looking for the nations to see something. All the peoples on the earth, everyone will see with their eyes that Yahweh's name and his presence is with you. So if everything he just said, starting up in verse number 1, and we don't have any of that, this is what I'm trying to explain. The Yahweh's name, he can't see his name on us because we don't have the things that he just said. We're not the head of the nations because we haven't done what he said. We're not in his literal presence of being him living with us because we didn't do what he says. And he says that he's with you so that they will be afraid of you. No one is afraid of us. So if they're not afraid of us, if you reverse engineer this, you would see that they're not afraid, and because we're not in his presence, because he's not with us. They don't see his name on us. They actually have to see it. They don't see his name on us. Well, how would you see his name? You will see his name by what we do. All the nations will know that you are Elohim, a wise and an understanding people. But we don't see that. They don't see that. It's no one saying anything about us. And then he said, Yahweh will give you great abundance in all things, of the fruit of your body, the fruit of your livestock, and the fruit of your land, which he swore to give your ancestors. So, and I see this also, that Yahweh will open up his good treasure for you in the sky. So that's where his treasures are coming from the sky. That's the blessing we've been talking about. To give to you, or to give to your land, what? It's rain. We don't see that in our land. We don't have it at the right seasons. And then he says, and to bless you in everything you undertake. So if you look at the blessing, it literally has to do with the land. It has to do with the treasures of the sky. You will lend to many nations and not borrow. That's not our case. He will make you the head and not the tail. That's not the case. You will only be above when Yah's with you. You'll only be above when people can see his name on you, never below. So right now we're below. And it was always, if we would listen and obey his mitzvah and his commandments, and not turn away from any of the words I'm ordering you today, neither to the right or to the left, to follow other gods and serve them. Okay. But if you refuse, and this is what the case was, our ancestors refused. They refused to pay attention to what Yahweh says. That's what they did. He says, and did not observe and obey his commandments, his regulations from you today, and all the following curses will be yours in abundance. You can read from 16 all the way down to 69, and everything he said is what's going on with us right now. So it's either one of the two things that's going on. Either we are blessed by Yahweh, or we're not blessed by Yahweh. So that's the thing. It's literally a concrete concept. Either we're blessed by him or we're not blessed by him. So I mention that because everyone is saying that we're blessed.
We are.
And yeah, of course they're saying that. But Yah's blessing for us is different than what we believe to be a blessing. The Hebrew blessing for us is land. And this is not found in theory. This is found in the actual word for blessing. Okay. Blessing means to kneel down and to give. And according to the covenant, our covenant is based on the head of grains. That's where the word berith comes from. So everything for us has to do with land. Everything with us has to do with descendants. Everything with us has to do with us being self-sufficient. So when I talk about us being blessed by Yah, because we have a job here, but we're accrediting him with that, right? We're crediting him with everything, because we say, well, everything is his. Everything is he's doing all this. This is all his work. This is all he's doing, right? So
we started out as slaves.
Well, explain why'd you just say that?
We started out as slaves. And a couple of weeks ago, I heard Mr. Bacon talking about buying another house. And okay. We're doing great. And we're not, and that's fine. We're not on the bottom either.
Yeah, okay. Well, and from your perspective, and
they're scared of it.
And that's fine. That's fine. I'm not gonna argue that. If like you said, you open it up with saying, hey, whatever's good for you guys is good for you. And when it's ever good for me, it's good for me. Hey, I'm not here to tell anybody to change their mind. If you believe that you're blessed and you believe that your blessing is different than this, and Yah has said that these are the things that I'm gonna bless you with, versus the things that can actually be documented here, we're only going off of what he said. I don't care about what anyone thinks. That's the bottom line. I'm not here to teach about what I think. I'm not here to teach what you think. I'm not here to debate that, because we all have our own minds. What I'm here to explain is, what did he say? What did Yah tell the children of Israel? So when we talk about what he's done for Bickham, or what he's done for Dawid or Aviyah, I think right there we're missing the whole principle behind it. Yah's talking to the nation of Israel here. That's what I've been trying to explain. Deuteronomy chapter number 28 is talking to the nation of Israel. It's not talking to Forrest Best. It's talking to the nation of Israel. So everything that's being said here is dealing with our people as a whole, a community. And when we read, it says, when the time arrives that all these things have come upon you, who Israel, both the blessing and the curses which I presented to you today, and you're among the nations, which Yahweh has driven you. Then at last you would start thinking about what's happened to you, and you will return. And this word right here, return, means to shuv. You're going to turn your return. You're going to shuv. You're going one direction, and shuv means to go back the other direction. That's what it means. Okay. And he says this, you're going to return to Yahweh, your Elohim and pay attention to what he has said, which will be exactly what I'm ordering you do today. Okay, you and your children with all your mind and all your being, meaning your stomach, your appetites, your desires. At that point, what point? At the point of you returning to Yahweh, Yahweh Elohim will reverse your exile and show you mercy. At what point? At the point of you turning to him. He says this particular way that they framed it right here in the grammar says that when he says, I'm going to reverse your exile, that's what I'm going to do. That's my intention. My intention is to reverse your exile. So what does he tell us? How is he going to show mercy to us? How is he going to reverse our exile and show mercy? The
So,
first
Brother Dawid,
yes.
so he's not necessarily, I know that the Hebraic way of life is starting to be enlightened and he's opening up people's minds across the earth. But in this context, it looked like he's saying as a nation, when you turn.
Yes, it's as a nation. It's as a nation because as a nation, he's not coming back just to get a few people. That's what I've been trying to explain because, some point, that's where the confusion happens. If, like I said, if we're looking at it as us as individuals, that is a Western mindset. And Yah doesn't want us to think like that. He wants us to think Eastern. Eastern mindset is about the whole entire community. So when he's talking here in Deuteronomy 30, he's not talking to just the individual. He's talking to the whole entire nation of Israel. He says that, listen, at that point, he's going to reverse your exile. Okay. And he's going to show you mercy. So he's going to do two things. He's going to reverse, and then he's going to show you mercy. And then it tells you how. How's he going to do it? Well, to reverse your exile is he's going to come and return and gather you from all the peoples to which he has scattered you. That's reversing your exile, and that's showing us mercy. And then he says, if one of yours was scattered, one of who? Of Israel's is scattered to the far end of the sky. So he's telling geographically that it's where? From all the peoples. I'm going to gather you from all the peoples. I'm gathering this one. I'm gathering you from all the peoples of the earth. From one end of the sky to the right, from the far end of the sky, Yahweh will go gather you even from there, talking to the nation. He will go there and get you. Why? Because you're scattered all over the globe. Okay. So Yahweh will bring you back into the land that your ancestors possessed. That is his mercy, right? So he's going to bring you there. He's going to return you. And so when he talks about bringing us back, he's bringing us back somewhere. I'm going to bring you back into the land of your ancestors possessed. You will possess it. Okay. This is where it is. This is what he wants us to possess. This is what everything is connected to. It's what our ancestors possessed, and this is what you will possess, because I'm going to bring you back somewhere, and that somewhere is to this land, because that's where all your blessings are. They're in your land. Okay. You'll possess it, and he'll make you prosper there. Your prosperity is in your land. He will make you prosper there. Now, yes, a lot of people here in the United States and all over the world, they're prospering in their own way. They got jobs, they got houses, they got cars, they got businesses, they got bank accounts, they got all that kind of stuff. But Yah says where I'm going to make you really prosper is we're back in your land. That's where you're going to prosper. That was my intention for you in the first place. Okay. So what am I saying? Am I saying that you're going to not have any prosperity anywhere else? There's a lot of our people right now as a nation are not prospering. You know why? Because they don't have a land. Why? Because they don't have what our ancestors possessed. So he's not after trying to give us something outside of what he's promised us. He's coming back to give us back to a place where he has promised our ancestors. Okay. So this is the possession. This is what everything has been about. This is why I brought you out of Mitzrayim. This is why I brought you through the wilderness. This is why everything I've been telling you, because this is what, in context, this is everything I've been telling you since you came through the wilderness, that if you would listen to his laws and statutes and rulings, so when you go into the land, you'll know how to live. Because if you go there and you don't live the way I'm telling you, I'm going to put you out of the land. And that's exactly what happened. He says, you're going to prosper there. Where? In the land. And you will become even more numerous than your ancestors. Because the goal is to bless Israel by increasing their numbers. That's through your prosperity. Again, is in your land. And because it's in your land, it's also in your numbers, because you'll have enough food to eat. Then Yahweh will circumcise your hearts. So when is Yah going to circumcise our hearts? He's going to circumcise the hearts of the children of Israel when they go back to their land. And what is he talking about? The circumcision of the heart. He's talking about the circumcision and the cutting away of the mind, the thoughts of us, and this thing that's in us that you and I are unaware of. We really honestly believe that we're circumcised right now. We honestly believe that we're doing everything he said. And the fact that and we honestly believe that we're clean. And Yah's saying that's not the case. There's something in me you needs to be changed. I need to correct this. Then if we know our grammar, we know then means after. So after Yahweh brings us back, he will circumcise our hearts and the hearts of our children so that we will love him the way that he wants to be loved. Yahweh your Elohim with what? All call of your heart and all of your being, and thus you will live, period. Okay. And Yahweh will then, right? Yahweh your Elohim will put all these curses on your enemies. So we know that this hasn't happened. And those who hate you and persecuted you, but you will return. That means shuv again, to repent and turn back. And you're going to pay attention to what he says. And you're going to obey all the commandments I'm giving you today. When you get back home, then Yahweh your Elohim will give you more than enough in everything you set out to do. The do here is talking about your hands. Okay. And then also too, the fruit of your body. You're going to get everything that we just read in chapter 28, verse number 1 through 14, that he said he'll bless you with. That's where this is. Did he not say, I'm going to bless you in the fruit of your body? Yes. Am I going to bless you in your livestock? Yes. And I'm going to bless you in the fruit of your land. These are the areas in which Yahweh has given to the children of Israel. It's about your body, it's about your livestock, and it's about your land. Those are the three huge things that he says it's always going to be about. Okay. So once again, this is how he will rejoice to see you do well. He's going to see you do well in your body. He's going to see you do well in your livestock, and he's going to see you do well in your land. And we don't want that. That's what a lot of people don't want. A lot of people want to stay here and they want to be blessed here. And Yah's trying to get us off of this because this is not what he intended. If he wanted this for us, we would not be going anywhere. And that's the problem, because you and I believe that he's rejoicing in us. But if he was rejoicing in us like we claim he is, then why does it say he will once again see us do well in our land? But we wanted him to do well for us while we're under a curse. And that's where that is against the Holy One of Israel, according to what he says.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So he won't bless us here. I see what you're saying. Okay.
No, he won't give us what he wants to give us here. That's okay. Exactly right. So right. He's not going to give us the inheritance of everything that we want, that he wants for us here. It's no way we can accomplish it here. Our prosperity is in our land. Our prosperity is in our children. Our prosperity is in what he puts, when the rain comes down, and we can use our hands for that. He doesn't want our hands to build businesses. He wants our hands to go and harvest. We're farmers. We're agrarian people. He wants us to pull the food out of the ground and thank him and lift it up and say thank you and bring the basket. That's his intention. And that right there is the beauty of who we are as a people. It's not until and here's the thing, we were never brought out of Egypt to come to a place and build other people's cities and build their communities and build their houses and build their lands and make them wealthy. That's a curse. But we've been looking at it as, well, we're making and we're surviving. Yah says, listen, what I have for you is different. You guys are a set apart people for me. And the only way I can set you apart is you got to be in a set apart land. And you not only got to be set apart in your land, you have to be set apart in your thinking. And so the culture in which we're living in right now is not the culture that Yah wants us to that we won't thrive in. We will not thrive in a culture that we're not designed for. Israel was designed to be set apart for Yah, to be a holy people for him outside of all the peoples on the face of the earth. And so with us, he says, I'm going to make your crops famous. I'm going to make you famous by the food that you have. So if the crops are being famous, it's because Yah has put our hand to it. We'll be able to rejoice in everything that he says, right? Because in 28, he says, these are the curses that are going to come upon you. You're going to build houses, you're not going to live in them. You're going to plant stuff and everybody else is going to eat it. You're going to bear children, but everybody's going to take those kids and you'll never see them again. So because of those things are happening and we're building things that we can't look at and keep our hand on it and prosper by it, everything we're doing is futile. I mean, I've had businesses, I've made millions of dollars, but guess what? It was all for nothing, because that's not Yah's intention for me. His intention is to bring me back home to my land, to my ancestors. so I can, whenever I put my hand to, I can reap the benefits of it, not the state of California, not the federal government, and not the, people get me for taxes and suing me every time I turn around, and I'm losing lawsuits and all kind of stuff. So there's a lot of red tape, but he says, Yah will once again rejoice over us again. He's going to rejoice to see us to do well when we're where? We're in our land.
And then nobody can be blessed unless we're all Israel. None of us can be blessed unless all of
Yes,
Israel is blessed, right?
Corey, yes, because we're his people. All of us are collectively. He will not say, well, guess what? I blessed Da'wid and Bess, and I gave them a couple of $100 million, and then the rest of Israel is somewhere else starving to death. That's not blessing to Yah. Yah is collectively talking about us as a community. So I'm asking for us to look at this the way that he looks at it, which is your blessings, and for me to do well is when you're at home, because I promise your ancestors the things that I want to give to you. It's a possession. It's your inheritance. And so he said, however, only this is going to happen only. What's going to happen? All the stuff that I just said, what only is going to happen only. There's a condition, only if.
But what if me and Gerald are doing all the work and Pookie and Ray Ray ain't doing nothing? How come me and Gerald can't reap what we sow, and Pookie and Ray Ray, they don't deserve nothing? At least that's why I look at it. But
we look at it like that because that's what it is here. But in our land, that won't be the case, because Yah is going to do something with Israel different than what he's doing with Israel today. Yah's going to take Israel, clean Israel up, and give them a different type of mindset. And when we get there won't be Pookie and Ray Ray no more. They'll actually be called by their names that Yah wants, and they won't have all these little other nicknames and stuff, and they won't be sitting at home playing video games. They'll all be working together as a community. What we lost is the beauty of who we are as a people. That's what we've lost. And it's attached to the land.
Brother Dawid.
Yes.
As far as was speaking, it just kind of came to me. I bet that there were some Israelites that were in Mizraim that were working for Mizraites that were doing well and that paid them well, and they ate well, and they probably had a little bit better houses, and but as in what you're saying, but as an overall people,
yes,
they didn't do well.
They didn't do well. Do you guys remember why Yah chose, or why he blessed and gave Shalom the wisdom he gave him?
So he could govern his people.
Because he said, I want to know how to rule your people. Go ahead, Sister Claudia. Go ahead, Koti. You're on mute. Take yourself off mute.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yes. So, very interesting conversation. So I wanted to ask something, but first, before I ask, I want to make a comment. I do understand where you're coming from when you say that Father Yahweh is not with us physically. I'm thinking you're saying physically, because I think it's the same thing, whereas we do not have a priesthood.
Yeah.
We do not have a temple. We do not have our land.
Yes.
So because we had that structure, and then we had our Elohim, which is our Elohim. And we do not have our king. So I think that is what I'm understanding that you're saying. We do not have the structure.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying.
So our king is our Elohim is not there.
He's not. Okay, go ahead.
Right. But what I want to ask, do you think that the spirit of Yahweh is with us individually?
I would say yes. I would say individually he's come to us, right? Remember what he said. He said there's going to come a time when we read at the top, this is what Moshe, this is what he prophesied, because he's a prophet. He says there's going to come a time when all these things come upon you. Okay. And he says, when it's presented to you and you're there among the nations which Yahweh has driven you, and at last you will start thinking. You will start thinking about what's happened to you. Now, here's the thing. How did that happen? How did that all of a sudden come out of nowhere, right? I mean, did anyone come to you and say, hey, this is what God says? Or was it you started having some questions about Christianity? You started having questions. So what I can say is this. I don't want to look at this from a religious perspective, because this is not religion. This is reality. The reality is that Yah says, I've called. Yah says, I've called to people. And some of us answered. So Yah has called to us. He has called to us. Absolutely. This is not something that was generated within ourselves. Something had to happen for us to turn around and say, I got to start thinking about this. Why did these thoughts come in my mind? Why did I heard a voice inside of me saying, an inner voice that says, you don't know me. That's what I heard, that I don't know you. And I was like, what are you talking? I was like, in my mind, I was having a battle. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know you. I do know you. And he kept telling me, you don't know me. That's all I kept hearing. Then I started doing my research. It put a fire under me. I started doing my research and found that out. So to answer your question, that's what I'm trying to explain, is that when I say the Yah's structure, he's not with us. I'm saying as a whole community of us having a structure of a king, a priesthood, being able to draw near to him and being holy and being his holy people that are set apart. When we're in exile, the holiness that Yah has for us is not on us because of where we are. There's no way that we can achieve that here. Okay. The second question was, does he come to us individually? Yes, he speaks to us. He talks to us. And he talks to us. And he talks to us and he tells us things. He speaks to us through dreams and visions. He tells us those things. But we can't try to say, when I say with us, the way that we understand it from a Western perspective is, oh, he's with me. No. Yah has spoken to me. Yah has sent a message to me. He's speaking to me. He's teaching me. He's telling me things, but he's not with me. I'm not with him. You got to keep everything in its proper context, because if he was with me, okay, just say we say he's with us, right? Versus he speaks to us and he tells us things. If Yah was with me, right, and I say, well, he's with me and I'm unclean, what did I just say about him? If he's with me, I just profaned him and I just said he's literally he's in my presence. Yah's not in my presence. He's not in my presence. I will never say that Yah's with me. And from that perspective, I'll say Yah has spoken to me, but Yah's not with me. He's not. And for us to say that he is, to say that he's willing, listen, he's willing to be around someone that is in a state of uncleanness. That's what we would be saying. We would be actually literally saying that he's willing to be with us, like with you in your uncleanness. So that goes to the concept and the idea of Christianity, which means he accepts you exactly for who you are and where you are. Then that would negate everything that he said about how he's going to cleanse us and wash us and give us a new heart and circumcise us and give us a spirit. Right now, while we're in exile, we're claiming that he's with us. So now either Yah's telling us the truth or he's saying something that's not the truth. So we have to differentiate and we have to be concrete in our thinking. If Yah is with us, then guess what? We feel secure and we're like, I'm good. I'm good to go. He's with me. He's with me. I don't have to fear anything. He's with me. Well, Yah didn't say that in any part here where he says that I've exiled you. If Yah is with me, then why would he say this, that he told Moshe to tell the children of Israel? Why did he just say this? And it's right here. It says, if Yah is with us, then why would he have to come and gather us? He will return. That's what he's going to do. Number one, he will return because he's not with us and he will gather us. If he's with you, then why does he have to gather you? See? So we're going away from the spiritual and we're going into the physical, because he's not talking here. He's not talking this right here in a spiritual sense. Exile for us wasn't spiritual. Exile for us is physical. Him reversing our exile is physical. Him showing us mercy is physical. And how's he show it? By returning physically. And he's going to gather you and I physically from all the physical people, which Yahweh have physically scattered us. If one of us is physically, if ours is scattered physically to the far end of the sky, one part of the earth, Yahweh will gather them physically, even from there, from a physical place. He will go there physically and get you physically. Then Yahweh will bring you back physically into your physical land, which your physical ancestors possess, and you will physically possess it. He will make you physically prosper, and you will become even more numerous than your ancestors. The people were human beings. Okay. Now he goes into the spiritual. Listen to this. He tells you something spiritual here, but it has physical application. Yahweh will circumcise your hearts, which is your minds. And he tells us exactly how he's going to do it. He says, I'm going to put my Torah inside of your minds. That's the circumcision he's talking about right here. And the minds of your children, your brain, your physical brain, so that you will love me. Okay. Here, love is abstract in English, but in Hebrew means look towards the house. You're going to draw near to Yah with all of your mind, your being, your stomach, every part of you, what you wear, how you talk, every part of you. And thus you will live physically. Okay. Yahweh will put all these physical curses that he just mentioned in chapter number 28, verses 15 down to 61, I think it is, on your physical enemies. You understand? And then listen, if you would pay attention and what? Return, shuv, and pay attention. You literally have to physically do this. When we talk about doing it, we literally have to do it. And what does he say about obeying his commandments? He says physically. It's not just I want to imagine that I've done it. So if everything that we've said right now, including verse number 9, which means that Yah is going to give you more than enough in everything you set out to do, with your physical hands. Your livestock is physical. The fruit of your body is physical. Your fruit of your land is physical. They're all going to do physically well. And Yahweh will once again rejoice to see you do well physically, as he rejoiced in what? Your ancestors physically. When they were eating well, he was happy for them. When they were in the land, he's happy. However, this will only happen if you pay attention. And paying attention means listening and obeying with the ears that you have to do what he says, because these are physical things. And what he says is everything that he has physically written down, so that you would obey his commandments that have to do with how you live and his regulations on how you manage what he says, and which is written physically in the physical book of the Torah. You have to shuv again. Shuv again is used again. That word is used like 6 different times in this in particular teaching about returning to Yah, meaning physically. Okay. And also to with your mind and your stomach and your being. Okay. And Yahweh your Elohim with all of your mind and all of your being. That's the idea. This is the whole purpose of everything that Yah's talking about, to return you. Because if you don't return with your mind, you don't return to your stomach and your desires, then there's no reason to bring you back to the land. Okay? Because it's only going to happen if we do this. It will only happen if you and I will shuv to Yah. But if you think he's with you, right, then guess what's going to happen? Instead of you continually to turn and continue to make sure that you're changing your mindset and your pattern, and that's what you're doing right now. That's what you're doing. You're actively reading the Torah. You're actively changing, bringing your heart back to him. You're actively saying, I'm going to eat the right stuff. You're actively praying and seeking his face. But you and I cannot get so comfortable with him to think that you and I have obtained anything. Israel, he says, you need to loathe yourselves. No one's really, we go through our say we're sorry, but the fact of us being here is for us to learn about what our ancestors did. And he says what they did, you need to say sorry for what they did, to admit that they were going against me, and the things that they taught you, because you've been going against me too. The moment that we spoke the name of another Elohim and bowed down in front of a Christmas tree, that moment put a scratch on Yah's name. It's called a kalal. You and I have done that. We have profaned his name. But if you and I believe that he's with us, we forget about this kalal. We don't think we're sinning against Yah. We don't have no clue. We will never, ever say it. We will never, ever think it. And then all of a sudden now we're thinking, oh, well, we're good to go. There's nothing going on with us. We're perfect. And Yah says that's not true. You guys are profaning my name, but also too, if he said something about us, and if he's with us, like a lot of other people are saying, because that everything that if we say something the Christian is saying, and we're saying the stuff that the Hebristians are saying, and we're saying something the Catholics are saying, and everyone else is saying, and you and I have been deceived. We've been deceived, because I'm going to tell you what he says. He says this, I want you to say this. This is what he told the Ezekiel to tell the children of Israel why they were in exile. This is what he says. Let's begin here so we can understand what he's saying. He says this, therefore prophesy, okay? Prophesy to them, say to them, my people, I will open up your graves. My people, when I open up your graves and I make you get out of your graves and I will bring you into the land. Again, he only calls them in this sense, in this context. Listen to what he says. He says, my people, I will open up your graves and make you get out of your graves and bring you into the land of Israel. So according to this, when he takes us out of our graves, we're going to be brought back to what? To the land of Israel. Okay. Metaphoric language. I'm bringing you up out of your graves. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. When I bring you back to the land. That's when you're going to know that my people. I need to do something first. And we saw in Deuteronomy, he said, I'm going to bring you out of the nations from all the people. So again, I'm going to bring you out, into your land. Then you'll know. So right now, for us to go and claim that we know that he's Yahweh, in this sense here, we have had no experience with him. We say, well, he gave me a job, he gave me some money, he gave me some nice, he gave me some food, all those different types of things, right? So everyone can say the same thing. Everyone can say that. It could be the enemy, it could be the oppressor, it could be anyone. The Chinese can say it, the Afghanis can say it, everybody can say it. They can say exactly what you're saying. He's with me, he's with me, he's with me, he blessed me, he blessed me. Yah's people don't supposed to say that at this point because they're in a time of exile. He says, then you'll know when I bring you back that I am Yahweh. When you have an experience, that's how you get to know him, is when you have this experience of being brought back home. You and I have never seen him. The other people did when he came out of, brought him out of Egypt. They saw everything he did. We never saw him call water out of a rock. We never see him turn bitter water. We've never seen any of those things. We never see him open up the Jordan River or the Red Sea. We've never seen any of these things. We never been fed by Yah, by his hand. So you and I, if we're saying we're blessed, we're claiming that we've had an experience with Yah. And Yah's saying the experiences that you're claiming, all the other people in the world can claim that. But I don't want you to claim that. I want you to claim what I'm about to tell you. Because then you'll know that I'm your Elohim. Because if you say that I'm doing something for you, the same guy down the street who doesn't know me says the same thing. Am I with him as well? Well, you guys can have that argument between each other. You see, your boss can say the same thing. They don't even follow the Torah. The Jews over in Israel will say the same thing, and they're claiming that he's their God. So where's the significance and the difference? Who's going to show us the difference between their God and our God? Oh, okay, he's going to show us the difference. And the way he's going to show us the difference is by what he's going to do for us.
Well,
and
who's claiming this?
Huh?
Who's claiming this, what you just read? Ezekiel?
What's that?
Who's claiming this, what you just read? Ezekiel, right?
Yeah, Ezekiel was telling the children of Israel why they're in exile, what Yah says he's going to do. Okay, so this in particular chapter begins of seeing these dry bones, right? And he's talking about the nation, right? And he's getting more metaphoric language, asking, hey, can these dry bones live? Meaning, can this nation ever be resurrected to being a people again? And he said, yeah, you know, I don't know that, you know that. So Yah gives him an example and tells him what to do, and he prophesies. And guess what? What he's saying is, he's letting them know that I'm going to raise Israel up again, and I'm going to bring them back to their land. Then they'll know. Then we will know who our Elohim is by what he does for us. You and I should not go around and say, well, I know him. No, he says you don't know me like you're saying you know me. There's a not. Okay, I'm asking. No, he said it.
Ezekiel.
No. Listen very closely. Yahweh Elohim says. This is the last time. I mean, I'm going to say it one more time. I mean, I don't know if people understand that when the prophets spoke, they spoke in his name.
Oh, I see.
He said. This is not Ezekiel saying. And when you see these quotations right here, Yah is talking, my people, I will open up your graves. This is not Ezekiel. This is Yah saying it. He says, then you will know that I am Yahweh. When I have opened up your graves and made you get out of your graves, my people. That's a national existence as a nation. And he says, I Yahweh will put my spirit in you. When I bring you back to the land and you will be alive. Okay. Then I will place you in your own land and you will know that I am Yahweh. You'll know it. The only time you're ever going to know me is when I do something that no one else can do. I don't want you to say that you know me when you only know me because of what you're reading. You only know me because of what someone else told you. You haven't had a personal encounter with me. Some people say they received the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit and they jumping around speaking in tongues. That's Yah says you don't know me. The nation, my people, not some individual. My whole entire nation will know that I'm Yahweh, have spoken, and when I have done it. So when he's telling us is that you don't know anything about me until I do what I said I was going to do. If I told you that I'm going to come and gather you, that's what I'm going to gather you. For you to say that you know me from your level, you're profaning my name because I haven't delivered you. In my name, if you understood the significance of Yohei, then you would know that I'm proving to the world that I exist by the things that I do. I told Pharaoh, the only reason I let you live is so you could proclaim to the world what I did for Israel. The word of Yahweh came to me. He says, you, human being, take one stick and write on it for Yehuda and those join with him among the people of Israel. Next, take another stick and write on it for Joseph and the stick of Ephraim and all the house of Israel who are joined with him. Listen to this. Finally, bring them together into one single stick. That's what I want you to do. Why? He's going to tell us why. I want you to take these and they'll become one in your hand. When the people ask you what does all this means, you'll tell them Yahweh Elohim says this. I will take the stick of Yosef, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and take together with the tribes of Israel who are joined with him, and put them together with the stick of Yehuda and make them one single stick so that they will become one in my hand. Okay, that hasn't happened, but there's a reason why he wants to do this. The sticks on which you write are to be in your hand as they watch. Then say to them, Yahweh Elohim says, I will take the people of Yisrael. This is the reason for the stick. I will take the people of Israel from among the nations where they have gone and gather them from every side and bring them back to their own land. So when he did this in their sight, he says, they're going to ask you this question. What does this mean? Did these people see the nation of Judah and Ephraim come together and they'll be in one nation again? No, it's never happened. This is a prophecy telling us what Yah is going to do. Then I will make them one nation in the land and on the mountains of Israel, and one king will be king for all of them. They will no longer be two nations. They will never again be divided into two kingdoms. So we know off the top, historically, that this has not happened yet. They will never again defile themselves with their idols, their detestable things, or any of their transgressions. Okay, so now they got idols, they got detestable things, they got and transgressions. But I will save them. I will save them from all the places where they have been living and sinning. What? Where? Who? The children of Israel from all over the places where I've scattered them. They have been transgressing because they've dealt with idols. They have eaten detestable things. They have done transgressions against my laws, and I will save them from the places where they've been living and sinning. The sinning is all this stuff that he just mentioned. But you and I don't see it like that, because you and I will say, no, I read the Torah. I'm not sinning. And I don't have nothing to do with idols, and neither I have anything to do detestable things anymore, neither do I do any transgressions. And Yah's telling you and I that you're saying that you've done something that I've done something I haven't done yet. And I will cleanse them. He has not cleansed Israel. Israel's still living and they're still sinning in the places they still have been contaminated. The holiness of Yah demands Israel to be clean to be in front of him, so that they will be my people. and I will be their Elohim. You have to be cleansed.
All of us at once.
All of us together.
All of us together, right? So it doesn't matter.
You understand?
All of us.
We're a family and we're all unclean. And if we wrap our minds around this, we will start respecting him even more.
Okay.
You see? I love you, Achi'ka. I'm just telling you.
Okay, I understand
what you're saying about he's been there and he's been protecting the whole time and he's been there where our mothers and fathers. Yes, but what he's saying here is this: as a nation of people.
Oh, well, you said he hasn't been there. So
no, what I'm saying is, listen, because I understand what he's saying here. I understand when he says that the only way that you could be really my people and be in my presence. Listen, when he says these words are not on accident. He says, you've been living and sinning. That is true. I'm going to save them from these places. So if you're still in the place, you're still living there. And it
is what it is, right? Okay.
Yes. So he says then, and I will, not only am I going to save you from these places, but I'm going to cleanse them. Who is them? Israel. Why? So that they can be my people. And I will be their Elohim. That's why I'm coming to do this.
And that's when we get to the land, right?
Yes, but he's actually going to take us to the wilderness first and judge us there. And then after he finishes doing the judgment and cleansing us, then he's going to bring us into the land. We don't go into the land unclean. We're going to go there clean. We're going to go there with a new mind. We're going to go with a new spirit, everything he promises to give us in chapter number 36 of Ezekiel.
Okay? So in your estimation, he won't be with none of us until we get to the wilderness.
That's what he says. Okay. Yes, because he hasn't cleansed us. Them, all of us together.
All of us. Okay.
We're a family. We're a family of a whole bunch of people. And he said, I got to cleanse, I got to save them first, and then I got to cleanse them secondly, then so that they will be. There's no other way around it. I will cleanse them, and I will cleanse them so that they will be my people, and I will be their Elohim. My servant Da'wid will be king over them, and they will all of them, every last one of them will have one shepherd, and they will live by my rulings, and they will keep and observe my regulations. They will live in the land that I gave to Yaakov, my servant, where your ancestors lived. They will live there, they, their children, and their grandchildren forever. And Da'wid, my servant, will be their leader forever. I will make a covenant of peace with them, an everlasting covenant. Why? Because now that I've cleansed them, now that I have brought them out from the places where they've been living and sinning, and now that I have taken them to myself and given them a new spirit, and they're living by my laws and statutes and commandments, now I'm going to make a covenant of peace with them because I don't want to be angry with them anymore. So what we're going to do is, you guys will never have any more problems, ever. It's going to be an everlasting covenant. I will give to them what? To increase their numbers. Again, your babies. We're going to have children, and I will set my sanctuary among them forever. Why? Because my home will be with them, and I will be their Elohim. As you mentioned, Sister Claudia, this is what you were saying. My home will be with them, and I will be their Elohim, and they will be my people. When what? When I make my home with them, I will be with them. When I come and get them and cleanse them, now we can be together, because I'm holy. You need to be washed, and I need to cleanse you, because you got stains on you. You got idolatry that you said. You had the Christmas trees that you had. You called on the name of other gods. You bowed down. You've done some things to me, and I can't just let you come back. I have to take you through a process. And now that we're through the process and we're done, now the nations will know that I am Yahweh, who sets Israel apart as holy, when my sanctuary is with them forever. The nations are not going to know that Yahweh is Elohim until he takes us back and sets us apart as holy. And the only way you and I can be holy, like he initially wanted us, is to take us and cleanse us and give us his Torah and download. We're not going to be reading on what we're reading right now. We're not going to be doing this. So that's why I'm telling us these things.
But he's dealt with other people without cleansing them.
Well,
like
let's
Abraham.
ask the question. The only question I have is this.
Mhm.
Are we other people or are we Israel?
Abraham was Israel.
Yes, but no, Abraham was not Israel. Abraham is
Okay.
Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov, and Yaakov's name was changed to Israel, and Israel's the 12 sons that he made a
He
covenant
wasn't
with.
Ivrit.
What?
He wasn't Ivrit.
He was Ivrit, but guess what you need to understand? The covenant that he made with Abraham and Yitzchak and Yaakov is not the covenant that he made with Israel. Israel is a different covenant.
Okay,
This is
very well.
not about Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov.
Very well.
This is about the covenant I made with the children of Israel who came out of Egypt. Because that's what got you put out of the land, is what you guys broke. So we're not talking about Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We're not, we don't jumble all of them together. We understand that they're connected, but the covenants they're given to each one of us in a different way and at a different time. And Yah did not reveal himself as Yahweh to them. He revealed himself as El Yom. And the reason why he revealed himself as Yahweh to us is because it means that he who exists. Because Israel, the 12 tribes have worshiped other gods. So he's trying to show us that he exists. That's the whole reason for all this, okay? So to follow up in chapter number 39, in summation of this, is the fact that Yah says this. Thus I will display my glory among the nations, so that all the nations will see my judgment when I execute it, and my hand when I lay it on them. From that day on, the house of Israel will know that I am Yahweh their Elohim. Again, he mentions again when Israel will know something. Well, in the context here in chapter number 39, he talks about bringing judgments on the nations. Because why does he keep saying that they'll know me, that I am Yahweh their Elohim? Because Yahweh means the self-existing one. He exists. Israel doesn't know. They haven't had this experience with him. He's going to do just like he did in Egypt. He came to Egypt and they say, who is he? He says, I'm Yahweh. Why? Because he said, tell him I'm this. This is my name forever. This is the name you're going to know me by forever. Then he begins to show them the signs and the wonders that they declared throughout all their generations and all through their time. They said, you need to remember this, because they had an experience with him, because they knew him. You and I don't know him like this. That's why he's doing this. He says, from that, the house of Israel will know that I'm Yahweh. Well, haven't they always known? Not this one. They're going to know that I'm Yahweh, while the Goyim will know that the house of Israel went into exile because of their guilt, because they broke faith with me. So as long as you and I are in our exile, you need to understand that you're not clean. That's what it is. So that I hid my face from them. When they went into exile, I hide my face from them. What's his face? His blessing, looking upon us for good, increasing our numbers, increasing our livestock, increasing our wealth, increasing our ability to be with him. So I hid my face from them and I handed them over to their adversaries. But yet we say that he's with us. I mean, come on. Let's stop being religious. And they fell by the sword, all of them. Yes. Listen what he says. Yes, I treated them as their uncleanness and their crimes deserved. Again, I hid my face from them. Where? When they put him in exile. So one moment we're saying he's with us and come on. I'm talking about his face needs to be turned towards Israel. If his face is towards Israel, Israel is back in their land. They're back at home. Let's stop playing religious games. He's not with Israel while they're in exile, because he says it over and over and over. I hid my face from them, the nation of Israel. Them, are you part of the house of Israel? Are you part of the uncleanness? Did you commit any crimes? Yes, you did. You are part of them. And for you to try to separate yourself from them and us means that you don't understand. Therefore, Yahweh says this. What is he going to say now? Now I will restore. What? After everybody finds out who he is. But as long as we keep saying he's with us and we don't have any fortunes, then we're making a mockery out of our Elohim. Let's just stay in our place and say that we're in exile, which is true, and say that right now we're under the curses until he reverses them, which is true. Then, therefore, Yahweh says this, and I know some people don't like it, and that's fine. And I'm not trying to change anybody's mind. I'm just telling you what he says. I just wanted to show you what he says. This is not what I say. This is what he says. Now, I will restore the fortunes of Yaakov and have compassion on the entire house, not on an individual. I'm going to restore the whole house, and I will be jealous for my holy name. They will bear their shame when and all their guilt from breaking faith with me once they are living securely in their land with no one to make them afraid. This will be, again, after I brought them back from the peoples and I gathered them out of their enemies' lands, thereby being consecrated. That's how I'm going to be consecrated, through them in the sight of many nations. So every time someone says that he's with us in front of the nations, they're lying. Because the fact is, Yah says that they don't even know. I need to be consecrated, but you don't want to consecrate me. You want to make me like the God of the Christianity. And you want to say that I'm with you, and I'm not with you because I haven't been consecrated before the eyes of all the nations. Now you've made me like every other God that people say he's my God and he's with me. No, you will know that I am with you when I'm consecrated in the sight of the nations by taking you out of that land. Israel is out of pocket when they say this. They're out of line. We're out of line. And I'm just telling it to you. You're out of line. You are out of line because the Most High says I need thereby being consecrated. The reason why we don't understand this is because we don't know what consecration is. We're lost. We've been in exile. We don't know how holy he is. So because we don't know how holy he is, we'll frame him and shape him to fit our agenda. So we can feel good about him being with us when he says, no, you need to loathe yourselves. You need to be crying. You need to be begging for mercy. And you need to turn from your wickedness and you're going to bear your shame. But when you don't think that you're a rebel and you think that you and Yah is straight, then you never come to this point. You will never come here. And what I'm going to tell you is this, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. You and I shall be consecrating him by saying this. He's not with us because he hasn't been revealed in the sight of the nations. If you know the story of Egypt, you would know that he set the children of Israel set apart by the things that he did. He doesn't set us apart by giving us a job or a house or a car. How's that sanctifying him? How's that sanctifying him? How's that consecrating him? How? It's not. We're minimizing his holiness when we say that, oh, he's with us. He's with us. I have his spirit. When he says you don't have my spirit, when he says I'm not with you, when he says I have to consecrate myself through them. So everybody then will know. Listen what he says. Then they will know. Then, when are they going to know that I'm Yahweh, their Elohim? What did he say right here? He says, when I gather them out of their enemies' lands and therefore thereby being consecrated through them in the sight of many nations. Until that happens, you and I can't be going around saying he's with us. You can't say it. You're lying. You're a liar. And I'll say it to your face. You're a liar if you said that. I don't care if you never come back to the class again. I'll tell you straight to your face, you're lying. Because it's either what he said or what we say. And the bottom line, yes.
People can be mistaken. They may not be lying, no?
No, Gerald, he says it's not a mistake. He says here.
It's a misunderstanding, though.
No, it's not, Gerald. It's not a misunderstanding. Let me tell you something about Israel, okay? Israel has been making up things. I'm talking about the nation. And I'm talking to anybody who wants to hear it. You and I cannot say something that he did not say. And even we did make a mistake. When he shows it to us, don't fight against what he says. That's what he's saying to Israel. Do not fight against what I said. If you're going around saying, well, I still believe, then guess what you said? What Yah just said was, here's a lie. That's the warning. That's why I say you don't have to come back to the class, because you'll never, ever hear me say anything that he didn't say. Now, I know you're not used to this kind of talk and this kind of teaching, but I'm going to stand up and I'm going to say what he says. I don't care about no friendship. I don't care about no relationship. It's what he said, period. That's what he said. And we've read it over and over and over and over again. So any talk about we're trying to finagle it and say, well, I know that's what you said. It ain't what I said. It's what he said. It's what he said. That's what he said. And it goes back to what he initially said. He says, then they will know that I'm Yahweh their Elohim, since I was the one who caused them to go into exile among the nations, and it was I who regathered them to the land, and it's I will leave none of them anymore, and I will no longer hide my face from them. So you're telling me, where's the misunderstanding? There is no misunderstanding. I will no longer hide my face from them. Why? So what are you talking about? He's saying that they went into exile. So if you're in exile, is his face towards you? No. You can't say that. I have poured out my spirit on the house of Israel, says Yahweh. When what? When he gathers us. Now listen. I'm going to tell you something, and I really mean what I'm saying. Period. The number one problem with Israel is this. Yah will say something, and Israel will turn it and twist it to say something totally different that he didn't say. That's why I'm going against anybody. I don't care who it is, online, offline, in the rest of the world. He said what he said. And Israel's been bucking against Yah from day one, and he's sick of it. And Israel has to turn back and humble themselves and say, no, he said, I'm not with you. I cursed you. You're in exile. You need to be feeling sorry. You don't go around telling everybody I'm with you, but yet you're still there, and I haven't delivered you because of how you feel and what you think. Period. This is the talk that we need to hear. This is the talk. I don't want you to take it personal to say, well, Dawid just attacked me. No, these are the words of the living Elohim. And you need teachers who are going to tell you the truth. And I blame the ones who've been out there that have been lying to us and telling us, oh, no, you guys, we're not evil. No, we're not wicked at all. None of us are rebels. None of us have done anything. No, we're a different breed. We're a different type of Israel. No, we're not. We're the same Israel that was there.
In today's Torah portion, Davarim 30, when it says he will rejoice as our forefathers did, and if we turn back and let's see, when you obey the Lord your God to observe his commandments and his statutes written in his Torah scroll, when you return to the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul.
I know, and it seems in what you just read right there, Aki, what you need to read is a couple of verses before that, because he's not talking about when you're here, when he said that. He's talking about after I come and get you, then you're going to do those things.
And if you read before that, he's talking about the wild weeds. He's talking about the people, the wild weeds. That's what he's talking about.
Which verse are you looking at?
If you read the Torah, if you really want to get into it, it's on Tuesday when he's talking about if you find some people among you that want to go their own way. Those are the people he's talking about.
No, he's not. In context, if you look at it, if you look at it, you know where this, if you know where the Putukah is, he begins when Moshe begins to talk about in verse number 30. Deuteronomy chapter number 30. He's talking to that's where he begins. He's talking to the whole nation of Israel, and he's telling them
Okay.
Yahweh will bring you back in verse number 8. He says he's going to bring you back, right? Then he says in verse number 9, where am I?
Perhaps there is among you a man or woman or family, tribes whose heart strays this day.
Yeah, that's totally different. That's not chapter number 30. 30 is a different prophecy teaching.
Okay.
When he was talking to them.
Anyway, this is what Yahweh says. Perhaps there is among you a man, a woman, or a family or tribe whose heart strays this day from the Lord, your God, to go and worship the deities or nations. Perhaps there is among you a root that produces hemlock and wormwood. And it will be when he is such a person hears the words of his oath, that he will bless himself in his heart, saying, I will have peace, even if I follow my heart's desires, in orders to add punishment, unintentional sins for his to that of his intentional sins. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah, and in context, he's talking about. Yeah, but he's talking, but according to what you're reading in,
he's talking about that.
Yeah, in 29, he's talking about an individual that was among them when he gave him that, told him the curses, and he says, when you get into the land, if there's a man or a woman who among you who says in their mind right then at that day that I just heard what you said, and now I'm deciding that I don't want to do what you're asking me, right? He's talking to those people that are standing right there, right? That's who he's talking to. Yeah, when he's saying this, he's letting us know, even if we're not standing there, a person who has this type of mindset in terms of what he's talking about. He's talking about that root of bearing bitterness and wormwood and poison is rebellion to go serve another God, right? So in chapter number 30, though, he just told us that everybody that came to understand the curses, the person he just read right there in 29, he's not talking about the exile. The exile is here in chapter number 30. He says when you're among the nations, that's totally different. So we're scattered. So
just everybody just read your Torah portions every day.
Well, of course, but here's the thing about it. If you read the Torah portion and you don't understand what you're reading and you take it out of context, then you're going to believe something that's not true. That's what it's like you said, well, if we do what he says, then everybody's straight. But he didn't say that until after I take you out. That's what he's in context. In the prophecy, he's saying, after you come out, then I'm going to fruitful and you're going to be this and you're going to do everything he says. So you're thinking, well, I do everything he says right now. And Yah's saying, no, you're not. You're not doing everything he says. You're not.
Once again, you can only do what we can do. We can't do sacrifices.
Yeah, but that's not what he's saying, Aki. He's not saying, listen, if we're doing everything Yah wanted us to do, right? To what he says, then there wouldn't be any need for him to take us out of here and cleanse us and put the Torah within us. He says it's not until I circumcise your hearts after I take you out. So right now you don't have a circumcised heart, neither do I. And I'm not trying to be accusatory. I'm saying what he said. He said that your hearts are uncircumcised. And he says, when I take you, that I bring you home, then I'm going to circumcise your heart. So if you and I are saying that our hearts are circumcised, again, we're calling him a lie. But if we're saying that we're doing what he says and we love him with all of our heart, he's saying that you're lying. Okay, well, then you and
I do, and he's with me. He might not be with you, but he's with me.
Well, that's fine. What I'm saying to you, I'll say this to you in front of everybody. Okay, whichever way that you want to look at it is fine. How you look at it. I'm telling you what it says, and guess what? I'm just gonna say this to you, and I'm gonna be respectful. I'm gonna be respectful to you until you understand the language and you understand how it's written. I would advise you to go reread it again, because
I will. I promise
you're making a grave mistake.
I will. I promise you I will.
Listen, class, I'm telling you something. Okay, I didn't take this responsibility on this role to be your teacher if I was going to sit here and lie to you and blow smoke up your butt and tell you something that's not true. Okay, let everyone have their own opinions. I'm not here to change anybody's opinion. Okay, that you can't think for another person. You can't. Okay, but what I can tell you is this: if we start thinking about Israel as a nation instead of this individualized thing, and start thinking about ourselves as a group of people where we're all inclusive and saying, well, if Yah has said something, it applies to every last one of us. We cannot isolate one person and say, well, he's doing it for me, but he's not doing it for you. Can't. We have to say collectively, if the two sticks haven't been joined together and we haven't been brought to our land, Yah has not circumcised our hearts. And that's painful for us because we want to be right in his sight. I know all of us want to be right in his sight. I know we all want to be walking right before him. But the bottom line is this: Christianity and our former lifestyle has made us believe that Yah is with us, and he's not. You understand? There's nothing, listen, there's no, if he says that we're living and sinning against him, that's what he said. It's uncomfortable and it doesn't feel good. If he says that you're transgressing against him, I know you say, well, how am I doing it? It's from his perspective. It's not what I think. It's not what you think. It's what did he say? And what he says is what governs our mind and changes our behavior. If you're thinking that he's with you, you'll have a mindset that says, well, you know, I'm good. I'm good. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do. And guess what God says? Oh, really? We just read what he said. He says, so your heart is circumcised? Oh, no, it's not circumcised, but I'm doing everything you say. Okay. I've been consecrated before the nations through you. Oh yeah, you've been consecrated through me because I'm doing everything you said. No. Yah wants his people. This is what you and I have not been taught. Yah wants his people to feel what they did. We're not getting off easy. We're not getting off easy. Yes, Yah's merciful and he's compassionate. But right now, Yah's saying, I want you to think about what your ancestors did. And I need you to think about it long and heavy. That's what I want you to do. Because guess what I'm talking? This is what I'm going to tell you. Okay. So you wouldn't think, well, maybe Da'wid is going off tonight. He's going off. He's off his rocker. He's lost his mind. Let me tell you what's at stake. And maybe, and those of us who can understand it. Those of you who want to receive it, receive it. This is what it says. This is what he says. The first question he asked the children of Ezekiel was this. They were trying to consult Yahweh. He asked them, are you going to judge him in verse number 4? Are you going to judge him? They're asking to consult me. Are you going to judge him? Human being, are you going to judge them? And he said, then have them what? You need to have them realize how disgusting their ancestors' practices were. That's what I want you to do. Okay. We're not going to read all this because we don't have all time. I want you to read it later on tonight so you can understand it. This whole chapter is about judgment. And Yah says all these different times where he's going to wipe them out. That's what he says. I'm going to wipe them out. I was going to wipe them out. I was going to wipe them out, and all these types of things. I said to their children, hey, don't live by the laws of your fathers. Don't observe their rulings. They're defiled with their idols. I'm Yahweh, live by my laws. Tells them, but guess what? The children rebelled. So what did he say? He said, then I said, I will pour out my fury on them and spend all my anger in them in the desert. But nevertheless, I withdrew my hand and allowed concern for my own reputation, his reputation of his name, and listen, to keep me from letting it be profane in the sight of the nations that I brought them out. So I raised my hand, and guess what I said I'm going to do to them? I'm going to scatter them among the nations. So you can thank our ancestors for this, okay? Let's move on, because all we're doing is defiling ourselves. Then he says this. He says this. And what you have in mind when you say we'll be like the Goyim, we'll be like the families of other countries serving wood and stone will certainly not happen. As I live, says Yahweh, I swear that surely with a mighty hand and stretched arm and poured out fury, I will be king over you. I will bring you out from the peoples. This is what I'm going to do, because this is what judgment's about. I'm going to bring you out of the peoples. I'm going to gather you from all the countries where you were scattered with the mighty hand and with a stretched out arm and poured out fury. Okay. Then I will bring you into the desert of the peoples, and I'm going to judge you face to face. Just as I judged your ancestors in the desert of the land of Egypt, so I will judge you, says Yahweh Elohim. Okay? I will make you pass under the crook and bring you to the obligations of the covenant. So for those of us that think we're following everything he said to the best of our ability, great. Great, wonderful. You're doing a wonderful job. I will make you pass under the crook, and I will bring you to the obligations of the whole entire covenant when I bring you out to where I'm telling you. I will rid you of all the rebels who are in revolt against me, and I will bring them out of the land where they're living too. Don't worry, they're coming out too, but they will not enter the land of Israel. Then you will know that I'm Yahweh. then you're going to know that too when I do what I said I'm going to do. So I don't expect Israel to know what they're doing right now. I really don't expect you to really fully understand, because you have to see something. Just like the nations are going to have to see, you're going to have to see when I deal with these rebels. And it's for you, House of Israel. Here's what Yahweh says. Go on serving your idols, every one of you. But afterwards, I swear, you'll listen to me. Go ahead and serve your idols. The house of Israel. You will no longer profane my holy name with your gifts or with your idols. Period. That's what it's going to be. Yeah, and I'm going to require your contributions, and I'm going to do your gifts, and I'll accept all your offerings. Yeah. You're going to bring stuff to me. And again, what am I going to do? I'm going to accept you. I will accept you then. With what? Sweet aroma? When I bring you out from the peoples. That's when I'm going to accept you. What else am I going to do? I'm going to gather you from all the countries where you're scattered. And through you, I will manifest my holiness in the sight of nations. This is probably the third time we heard it. You will know that I am Yahweh when I bring you into the land of Israel. In the country I pledge by raising my hand to give to your ancestors. And guess what's going to happen when you get there? Since we, and I'm being a little facetious here, but there you will remember your behavior and all the things you did. Really? You'll remember your behavior. What behavior? The behavior you had in the land of your oppressors, the places I scattered you. You're going to remember your behavior, and you're going to remember all the things you did and how you defiled yourselves. And you will loathe yourselves for all the evils you committed. Evils? Yeah. But I'm not doing that. I'm keeping the Torah. Really? Okay. And you will know that I'm Yahweh. When what? I have dealt with you in a manner that preserves my reputation and not according to your evil ways or your corrupt actions, House of Israel. Period. But guess what? This is a hard saying. This is hard for people, and this is difficult because we've been lied to. We got people out here lying. Aki, Gerald, you said it. They just misunderstanding. There are some who misunderstand. There are some. But once you hear the words of the living Elohim, then you have to make a decision. You heard what he said. When you come out of that land, you're going to loathe yourselves. You're going to be brought into the obligations of the covenant. Yes, I will then accept you. I'm going to accept you. So why are you saying that I'm with you when I haven't accepted you yet? You haven't even been cleansed. Why are you saying I should accept you while you're doing what you're doing? That's Christianity. That's Christianity. And they're the ones who got our mind all messed up. They're the ones who are telling us these things. That's why nobody's serious with him. They're playing games. That's what they're doing. They're claiming things that Yah never said. That's where the problem is with Israel. We have to stop saying something that Yah never said. If Yah didn't say it, you shouldn't say it. And that's the way I'm going to teach, and that's always going to be the way I'm going to teach. That's always going to be the reason and the direction that I go. You'll never hear me say anything that Yah didn't say, period. Why? Because it's detrimental. You could be a rebel and you could be put out of Yah's presence because you're going around telling people stuff that Yah didn't say. You're giving people false hope. Period. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam yasor or uvarei kol shekel say shalom uvarei tetachol. Blessed are you, Yahweh, our Elohim, the King of the world. He's forming light and creating darkness. He's making peace. And he's creating all
things. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Now listen.
Hallelujah.
If I
Praise
offended
the Holy One of Israel.
Hey, if I've offended anybody, I'm telling you this. It's not my intention. I got to tell you what it is. I'm not asking you to totally agree with what I'm saying. You better understand what the creator of the heavens and the earth has said. Because this is a matter of life and death. This is a matter to determine who's a rebel and who's not. Who's going to rebel against what I said? Who's going to go against what I said? You understand?
And to add to this, what you're saying, my dear brother, it's not about getting angry. It's about what's truth.
Yeah.
Because truth is what's going to get us where we're trying to get to.
Because we're in trouble.
We're in trouble.
We're in trouble, you guys. It's not.
We need to be healed, and we need y'all to.
We need y'all to.
And that's another thing. Like I always pray, y'all. We need you to heal us. We need you to open our eyes. We need you to lead us and to guide us. So I know He hears us, but as a group, as a whole, that's because we haven't came together.
We lost as a nation.
We're lost.
Like
we should.
We should, when Israel come together, all Israel should know, and all Israel should come together.
All of us together.
So, regardless to what they don't believe this or they don't believe that. It ain't about that. We're going to get it right. We just need to come together. That's what y'all said.
And what he's saying, everyone, is until we come together, until he gathers his people together, he doesn't want to give one of us something and not give it to all of us. He's not going to do it like that. It's about the whole entire nation giving Yah the praise and the adoration and say, yes, I'm blessed by the Holy One. There's a difference when Yah is with us and when he's not with us. We just don't understand the differences. We just don't. And according to his perspective, not ours. We got to tear down the Western mind. The Western mind says he's with us. Yah says, no, I'm not with you. I haven't accepted you yet. I'm going to accept you after I do it. We're still learning. We're still learning, but we got to be cleansed. And he says, even through that process, even through the time that you're in right now, I'm not going to always be your teacher. I'm not going to always be your teacher. You ain't going to need me to teach you nothing, because everyone will know Yah, from the least to the greatest. We have to listen. I'm not kidding. This is what's pressed upon my heart. Don't you dare go around and tell nobody that I'm with you, because the bottom line is you guys do not know me. I know you guys think you know me. You don't know me. I have not had an encounter with you. I haven't called. Have you seen that in the fire? I haven't fed you. I haven't done any of those things. The things that show you that I am your Elohim. That hasn't happened. And you and I are having this desire and this craving. He said, I get that. But say what I said. You'll know me when I do this. When I show you in front of the nations, when I bring you out of the lands, when I cleanse you up and I give you my Torah. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not your average God. I'm not the God of the New Testament. I'm not the God of the Bible. I'm the Hebrews God. I'm the God of Israel. That's why I came to you in this way.
Yeah.
My name. Because I'm not no ordinary God. And just like this picture you see me with this water, it was 10,000 feet. They walked through that water.
Ooh, hallelujah.
Hey, this is what it is. I'm no prisoners. I'm not, because God didn't call me to say that. He told me to say exactly what he says. And that's what I'm going to fight. I'll fight it all away. I'll pull my sword out and defend what Yah says. You guys do not make that mistake of saying that, because he hasn't said that. And we're not talking about just me. We're talking about the whole entire nation of Israel. Period.
This is true.
No, it's true. Yes, it is true. How many times did we read tonight where he says, they don't know me?
Did you see how many times we said, I am? When we say I am, that's still representing the Most High. Even though it said, I am Yah. Wow.
Yeah.
When he said, I am, he's talking about himself still right there.
That's what I'm saying. When we say that we're blessed and we don't have what he said, then that's another God. That's another God. Because our God says, you're blessed when I bring you back home.
So what are these things that happen to us then? If those are not blessings, and if those are not gifts from Spirit,
that's life. No, it's life. We've just been surviving. It's life.
Okay.
So what? Okay, so name some stuff.
Happens. It's just
life. Yeah. What is it? We're ascribing stuff to Yah. The Yah says, why are you ascribing that to me? Why are you putting that on me? The same thing that you and I will put on him. I could say, oh yeah, I own some franchises. I had 250 employees. I had millions of dollars come through my fingers. Is that from Yah? Average person would say, oh yeah, you're blessed. But guess what? When I was doing that, before I knew the Holy One of Israel, I was cursed. So what is a blessing? From a Western perspective, but see, this is the Eastern mindset that I have now. My Eastern mind says, I don't have no blessing until I get back home.
Okay.
I just got a job and I'm working and I'm living. That's what I'm doing. I'm not blessed right now. And I will not get confused with his blessing versus what I think is a blessing.
I hope we get to sit around that fire again, so we can have a long night conversation.
Oh, we will. And guess what?
I have some things inside, that I want to share. It's kind of hard to share, over this. I thank you, Yah. I thank him for the technology for us to be able to, but. If I didn't have this, I'm gonna still do what he taught me. He said, what would you do if there was no church? What would you do if there was no dwelling place for people to gather or whatever? I said, Father, I would just do what you taught me. He said, well, then do that. That still stands in my life. But I am so thankful, and I'm really thankful for you too, Brother David, because I like how you man up on it, and you stand, and you're standing for what the Most High has showed you, no matter what obstacles come, whether it be friends, family, loved ones, people that we've known for years. This is deeper than that.
We're not gonna change. We're not gonna alter. We're not gonna do a custom job or custom make what he said so it can fit how we feel.
Yes.
If you feel that way, and I'm not talking bad about anybody feels that way. Like I said, they never have to come back to this class.
I felt you were talking to all of us.
It's for anybody that just won't do what he says. Because then you'll find I'm not, listen, I can be a rebel too. And I have been one. So it's just what it is.
And you know what? Sometimes, my brother, sometimes we still are. When we kick up against what we know that the Most